organization, when a business moves towards sustainability, it's got a number of things to think about. I think first of all, it's got to understand and analyze its own footprint in terms of environmental and social impact. If it's a manufacturing company, what kind of environmental and social impact does it have? If it's a retailer, it's got to look at that, but it's also got to look at its supply chain. So another area is looking at your supplier's footprint, not only your own footprint, to see what they're doing from an environmental and social perspective. And then the final area that you want to look at in terms of your footprint is the consumption side of it. So your client, what is their footprint? Are they throwing away most of what you're doing? Is there a lot of waste left? That type of thing. Then you want to look at what are the key areas of environmental and social risk that you can have the biggest impact on in your business. So you may have a very, very, very small impact on water and a very, very large one on women, right? So therefore, you'd probably want to focus your efforts on women and figure out how you can help them with their livelihoods, et cetera, right? So you want to do that type of analysis. You also want to look at the external trends. You might be in an area of the world where climate change is not a problem now, but where it's going to be, and it's going to disrupt your supply chain. So then you want to think about, well, all these changes in weather events are going to disrupt what I do. How do I help have a positive impact on that and manage for that? So it's a whole series of issues you need to look at, and then once you've done that, you develop a plan and you figure out who can be your partners in this, because a lot of this is new. There's a lot of nonprofit organizations, government agencies, and other companies with expertise, and also other players in your supply chain where you can have sort of pre-competitive collaborations with competitors. One of the interesting developments with companies over the last 10, 15 years has been that they've been working more in what they call uncommon collaboration. So working with competitors, working with nonprofits, working with government to a lesser extent, to solve challenges. What they gain in doing that, let's just take a nonprofit organization as an example, they gain credibility because the nonprofit is in it for the public interest, not the private interest. They gain expertise because the nonprofit has very specific expertise that the company generally doesn't have. They gain an ability to learn together. I mean, one of the fascinating things when I was running Rainforest Alliance and working with business is how much we learn from each other. So we worked with Chiquita, for example, who had been growing bananas the same way for 200 years in a way that was very environmentally and socially problematic. And in working with us and us asking the questions, well, why this way and why not that way, they started to put all their innovation and their thinking into it and came up with whole completely different ways of dealing with this. So, and a particular example would be in traditional banana plantations, the bananas are grown in lines on bare earth, basically, with canals in between them. So they would use a chemical defoliant to get rid of any weeds. In doing that, you'd have a lot of rain because it's in the tropics. So you have this chemical defoliant, it's like an Agent Orange, running into the streams, right, contaminating everybody's water, killing wildlife, aquatic life, etc. So in working with them, they recognized that that was a problem, and so now they have a particular type of grass that kills the other weeds that allows for little amphibians and things to have a habitat, that frogs have a habitat, does not require Agent Orange. They have reduced their chemical use, and that's just one example, by $5 million a year. A big shift for organizations will be looking at the type of information that they need to gather in order to really embrace sustainable management. We really need CFOs and CEOs to begin to collect this type of information.